Okay, so today's lesson is over strategies to solve equations in the form of x plus a equals b, x minus a equals b, x times a equals b, or x divided by a equals b, where a does not equal 0. Basically what we're going to be doing is going back over how to solve one-step equations. The idea of fact families, or the concept of fact families, is very important in this. And while most of us could look at an equation and determine what the unknown is or what the value of the variable is, we still need to show our work mathematically, thus proving what a actually equals, or any variable actually equals. So I'm going to do a few examples. We're going to take a look at a couple of easy problems, and then maybe one from the lesson for tomorrow, and then we will be done. So before we do that, though, I want to go over what solving the equation and versus solutions of the equation really mean. Solving the equation means that we are finding values of the variable that would make the equation true. In this example, n is our variable. So solving the equation here would mean that we are finding values of n that would make that a true statement. And then any value for n that works is called a solution of the equation. So there's a difference between solving and solutions. Solutions are what the variable equals. Solving would be finding the value of the variable. Okay, so we are going to start off by looking at problem A from page 97 in our book. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to read the problem and figure out what we're doing. It says a single admission at Wild World amusement park costs $21. If a park sells n single admissions in one day, then its income is I equals 21 times n. Write an equation to answer this question. How many single admissions were sold on a day where the park had an income of $9,500 or $450 from single admissions? So what we're going to do real quick is we are going to take a look at what that equation would look like. So they've already given us that I equals 21 times n, and now we are going to have to substitute for I $9,450 because this is the income. So we're going to substitute that in. So the first step would be to write the equation. The second step would be to substitute in the value for the appropriate variable. And what we are trying to solve here is how many single admissions, or the value of n. We're trying to figure out what n equals. So what we're going to do here is we are going to simply, first off, draw a line. That way we can keep our equation balanced. In algebra, we have, or in math, there's this law called the law of equality, which states that we have to do certain things to both sides. So if I'm going to solve one side of my equation, I have to do the same thing to the other side of my equation. So because n is being multiplied by 21, the operation that I'm going to use to quote-unquote undo the multiplication would be division. So I'm going to divide 21n by 21. That turns the 21 divided by 21 turns into a 1, and I am left with n on this side of my equation. This really just cancels out, okay? Because in algebra, we also utilize the identity property of multiplication and addition quite frequently, whereas if this is a 1, we don't really need to write it because 1 times any number would equal that number. Now, the law of equality states what we do to one side of our equation, we have to do the other side because we want to keep it equal. So I'm going to divide 9,450 by 21. So over here to the side, because I cannot do it like this or reduce my fraction, I want to show long division for this. Okay, so 21 can go in there. I'm going to say this goes in there 4 times. Okay, so 4 times 21 is 84. I'm going to subtract, and that gives me 10 left over. We bring down the 5. So now I'm looking for how many times 21 goes into 105. 4 was 84, so let's try 5 right here. 5 times 21. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Works out, it's 105. We get zeros. We bring down the other 0, and now we need to add a 0 up here to get our quotient rounded out. Okay, so the answer over here is 450 equals n, which means for A1 that they had 450 single admissions. Okay, which means in order to get a income of $9,450, 450 people had to go to the park. So this would be A1 would be the equation. Technically, this was answering A2. It said to solve the equation, explain how you found your answer. We found it through dividing both sides by 21 to get the n. Now, for A3, what we're going to do to check our answer is we are going to simply replace n with 450. So this is what n equals up here. So we are going to take our original equation, the 9,450 equals 21 times 450. Okay, and now I'm going to check my work real quick, that 21 and 450, we're going to multiply that out. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4. Add a 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 5 is 10, and then we get 9. We add those up, and that is 9,450. So basically, 9,450 is going to equal 9,450. Thus, checking our answer, this equals, both sides are balanced, so the solution of n equals 450 is correct. All right, now we're just going to simply apply that same knowledge to a basic equation. So in this equation, we have x plus 22.5 equals 49.25. So first things first, we're going to draw the line. Whoops. We're going to draw the line to show both sides of the equation need to be balanced at the equal sign. Okay, and then I'm going to look here. Right here, x plus 22.5 equals 49.25. So I need to find what the difference between 49.25 and 22.5 is, and that's going to equal x. It's a fact family relationship. So what we're going to do is, since we're adding it here, we will subtract 22.5, and this utilizes the property called the identity property of addition, which states that a number plus 0 equals that number. So this cancels out. It gets rid of it, turns it into a 0. We are left with x equaling. And now the law of equality, what I did to this side, I have to do to this side. So we're going to subtract 22.5 from this side. I'm going to fill in a 0 here. 5 minus 0 is 5. Going to have to regroup the 8 and the 12. So 12 minus 5 is 7. Bring down my decimal. 8 minus 2 is 6. And 4 minus 2 is 2 as well. So x equals 26.75. Now, to double check my equation, I am going to simply replace 26.75. I'm going to place it where x was. So 26.75 plus 22.5 should equal 49.25. So over here, we're going to just simply add those two together real quick. Just double check our work. Whoops, not a 4. To double check our work. All right, so getting back here, 22.5. Bring down our 5. I mean, add a 0 if you want. This would be 12. Write the 2. Bring down your decimal. Carry the 1. 1 plus 6 plus 2. This equals 1, 7, 8, 9. And then 2 plus 2 is 4. The answer is equal to 49.25. This is my check. So now I know that x is equal to 26.75.